Visitors to the city of London always go to a wonderful historical place called Westminster Abbey. There are buried many of the kings and queens of England, famous writers and poets and statesmen, historical figures we have all heard about. It is fascinating to visit this fascinating edifice and see so much history in one place. When I visited there, I was especially struck by one particular tomb. It was a tomb in which was laid not the bones of one person, but of two. These two had been sisters to each other in life, Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth. I was very surprised that these two rest in one grave, because they were so different from each other. Mary was a fanatical Catholic who earned the title Bloody Mary by spending the years of her reign burning Protestants at the stake, persecuting those who did not believe as she did. Elizabeth, who was the ruler sometime after her sister, was a Protestant and spent the years of her reign persecuting the Catholics. Yet the two sisters now rest together. The tomb bears a wonderful Latin inscription that can be translated something like this: "Partners in both throne and grave, we, Elizabeth and Mary, are two sisters hoping for one resurrection." And I hope these two sisters both found it. For Catholic or Protestant, there is only one resurrection. Next to that tomb, we find a newer plaque, put there in 1977 in the presence of Cardinal Hume of England. It reads, "Near to the grave of Mary and Elizabeth, remember to God all those who, divided at the Reformation by different convictions, laid down their life for Christ and conscience' sake." So often we think we have God all figured out, and we are quite willing to shed other people's blood for what we believe in. But we all just catch little glimpses of God, because God is so much greater than anything that can fit into our own minds and understanding. In 1209, Pope Innocent III called a crusade to wipe out the heretics in France known as Albigensians. When the troops arrived in one town, one of the soldiers asked their leader, Abbot Arnaud, "How are we to know whom to destroy? How are we to know who is a good upstanding Catholic and who is a heretic?" The holy abbot replied, "Kill 'em all. Let God sort 'em out." Such is human fanaticism. Such is the evil of the human heart when we think we have God down pat. We have to make God awfully small to be able to get our small minds around God. The great 13th century mystic Meister Eckhart understood that the human mind cannot possibly grasp the great mystery of God. He tells us we need the gift of unknowing. This is an unknowing that comes not from ignorance, but from true knowing. We have to pass from what we think we know to what we know we do not know. All the names we give to God are pitifully inadequate. No name can ever describe who God is. God is so much bigger than all of that. Who is He? Even that pronoun, He, which we so conventionally use in our own culture, is totally inadequate. God is neither he nor she. God is far beyond all of that. God is, above all else, a great mystery. Perhaps the best way of describing God is the way the Lakota people of our own land called God, Wakantanka, the great mystery. I can think of no better way of describing a God who is so much bigger than anything we can imagine. I was taught from the teachings of one of the greatest intellects of our Western Church, St. Thomas Aquinas. He wrote about 100 books concerning God, analyzed God, tried to get his brilliant human mind around the mystery of God, and did a good job for a human being. But on the feast of St. Nicholas, December 6, 1273, Thomas had some sort of vision, was granted a glimpse of what God truly is. He came out of his trance, hung up his pen, and never wrote another word. He told his secretary, "From what I have now seen, I know that everything I have written is nothing but straw, completely worthless, and so far from the truth." He came to the realization that God is so much bigger than all of that. God is a wondrous mystery, not to be comprehended, but to be embraced. The well-known Catholic writer G.K. Chesterton once said, "When we really worship anything, we love not only its clearness, but its obscurity, and we exult in its very invisibility." God continues to surprise us, and we bow down before the great mystery, which is God. Many years ago, I heard a marvelous poem that describes all of us as we try to get our minds around God. It was 6 men of Indostan, to learning much inclined, who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind, that each by observation might satisfy his mind. The first approached the elephant, and happening to fall against his broad and sturdy side, at once began to bawl, "God bless me, but the elephant is nothing but a wall." The second, feeling of the tusk, cried, "Oh, what have we here, so very round and smooth and sharp? To me 'tis mighty clear, this wonder of an elephant is very like a spear." The third approached the animal, and happening to take the squirming trunk within his hands, thus boldly up and spake, "I see," quoth he, "the elephant is very like a snake." The fourth reached out his eager hand and felt about the knee. "What most this wondrous beast is like is mighty plain," quoth he. "'Tis clear enough the elephant is very like a tree." The fifth, who chanced to touch the ear, said, "Even the blindest man can tell what this resembles most. Deny the fact who can. This marvel of an elephant is very like a fan." The sixth no sooner had begun about the beast to grope, than seizing on the swinging tail that fell within his scope, "I see," quoth he, "the elephant is very like a rope." These 6 blind men of Indostan disputed loud and long, each in his own opinion exceeding stiff and strong, though each was partly in the right, they all were in the wrong. So oft in theologic wars, the disputants, I ween, rail on in utter ignorance of what each other mean, and prate about the elephant not one of them has seen. We are those 6 blind people. None of us can touch the entire elephant. None of us can get our minds around the greatness of God. Yet each of us is given a tiny glimpse of an aspect of God. Another person next to us touches another aspect. Who is right and who is wrong? Each of us is right, and all of us are wrong. When we claim to understand God, we are reducing God to fit into our own small mind, limiting the limitless God, and creating an idol after our own image and likeness. Let us rather recognize the awesomeness of the mystery and bow down in silent worship.